The Galactic Defense Summit was a grand event, held every year in a space station, orbiting a dying star at the edge of known space. Species from all over the galaxy gathered to share their advancements in warfare, technology, and defense. Earth had been invited for the first time, and the representatives were excited yet nervous. They were not prepared for what awaited them. Admiral Cole stood at the front of the Earth delegation, feeling his heart race as the alien leaders from countless worlds eyed the Earth's modest displays. His crew had worked day and night to prepare a presentation, one that he hoped would show humanity's potential. But as the first few images flashed on the large screen, the room fell silent. The aliens, who had seen the might of fleets with ships that could destroy entire planets, glanced at each other with bemused expressions. The first display was Earth's defense fleet, ships that looked small, rough, and outdated compared to the sleek, powerful designs of the other species. An alien officer from the Ekran Dominion, a race known for their advanced weaponry and towering warships, scoffed loudly. "Is this a joke?" he asked, his voice dripping with arrogance. "How do you expect to protect your planet with these toys?" There were chuckles across the room. Earth's military wasn't in a position to compete with the galactic powers. Their technology was young, their ships outdated. They hadn't faced a real threat yet, not on a galactic scale. The Ekrans, with their devastating weapons and empire spanning dozens of worlds, were the model of dominance. The thought that Earth might pose any threat to them was laughable. "We've made great progress," Admiral Cole said, trying to maintain composure, "and we've been developing new strategies to counter threats." His voice echoed, but the words felt empty. Every species in the room had seen the same tired attempts from Earth: stealth fighters, defense satellites, experimental weapons. Nothing impressive. A deep rumbling laugh came from the Zarkath leader, a towering creature made of molten rock. "Defend your planet with these. This is like bringing a spoon to a battle with a sword," the Zarkath leader boomed. The room filled with laughter once again. Admiral Cole's hands clenched into fists. He could feel the weight of their mockery, the dismissive looks of the other species as they whispered among themselves. Some of them didn't even bother to hide their amusement. Earth was nothing more than a curiosity to them, a pet planet that could be safely ignored. The rest of the summit passed in a haze for Admiral Cole. Earth's delegation tried to contribute, presenting their plans for future defense systems, but no one took them seriously. The Ekrans, in particular, made it clear that they saw humanity as a species that would never amount to anything more than a footnote in the galaxy's history. As the meeting ended, Admiral Cole stood with his team, their faces a mix of frustration and determination. They had been mocked, belittled. But Cole knew something the others didn't. Earth had a secret, a plan they hadn't shared with the galaxy, a plan that would make the mocking look foolish. Soon, the galaxy would learn the true strength of Earth. It would be their turn to laugh. The sun hung high over Earth's capital, shining brightly as if the world itself was unaware of the looming storm. Yet deep in the bowels of the military command center, Admiral Cole stared at a blinking red light on his screen, his brow furrowed in concern. The warning had come in suddenly, too suddenly for it to be ignored. A rogue scout ship, one of Earth's most advanced stealth vessels, had detected something unusual. An enormous fleet of warships, far too many to be a simple patrol, was approaching from the Ekran Dominion. The ship's captain had immediately sent the message to Earth, but the transmission was clear. Earth's worst fears had come to life. The Ekrans weren't just looking for a battle. They were coming to invade. Cole's eyes narrowed as he reviewed the details of the report. The Ekran fleet was already halfway to the Sol system, their destination unmistakable. Earth. It was no longer a question of if, but when. Earth's defenses, laughed off by the Galactic Council only days ago, were about to be tested in ways no one had ever expected. "Admiral," said Captain Harper, the communications officer, breaking the silence. "We've confirmed it. The Ekrans are on their way." Cole's fingers tapped on the edge of the desk in thought. He knew that the Galactic Council would be of little help. After all, they had only recently dismissed Earth's defenses as a joke. No one would come to their aid now, not with the Ekran Dominion's power overwhelming any hope of intervention. "Prepare Project Bulwark for immediate activation," Cole ordered, his voice sharp and full of authority. The room fell silent at the mention of the secret project. It was humanity's last card to play, a project that had been kept hidden for years, far from the eyes of the Galactic Council. It was Earth's final defense against a threat they had hoped would never come. Harper's fingers flew over her console as she relayed the command to Earth's most secure military bases. Project Bulwark was the result of years of research and development, built in secrecy under the highest levels of government clearance. It was humanity's ultimate weapon, an advanced network of autonomous defense satellites, cloaked ships, and secret technologies designed to defend Earth in case of invasion. The galaxy had no idea it existed, and that was the way humanity intended to keep it. Meanwhile, the Ekran fleet continued its march toward Earth. Their commanders, confident in their superiority, believed Earth to be an easy target. The Galactic Summit's mockery had cemented their belief that the humans were nothing more than a weak, insignificant species. They didn't even bother with subtlety. They would arrive in the Sol system in force, and Earth would crumble under the weight of their might. But as Admiral Cole stood at the helm of Earth's military command center, he felt a flicker of hope. He knew Earth's defenses weren't a joke. They were ready. Project Bulwark wasn't just a defense. It was a message to the galaxy, a message that would soon echo throughout space. No one would ever mock Earth again. The Ekran Dominion fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system like a storm. The massive ships, their sleek metallic hulls gleaming with arrogance, moved with a kind of precision that only a well-trained empire could manage. The fleet's size was overwhelming, and the Ekran commanders were sure of their victory. Earth was a primitive world, and the resources it held were nothing compared to the might of the Ekran Dominion. Admiral Cole watched from the command center as the first wave of Ekran warships entered the system. Their sensors would soon pick up Earth's weak defense forces, if they even bothered to notice them. The laughter and mockery of the Galactic Defense Summit still echoed in his mind. But now, Cole had a plan they never saw coming. "All units, prepare for launch," he said, his voice calm yet firm. The time had come to show the galaxy that Earth wasn't as weak as they believed. At the same time, on the other side of the system, hidden beneath the cloak of darkness, Earth's secret weapon came online. Project Bulwark was set into motion. Thousands of autonomous drones, small, agile, and heavily armed, quietly powered up. They had been designed to remain undetected until the moment they were needed. Now, that moment had arrived. On Earth's surface, military personnel worked in tense silence as their screens flashed with readings. The first wave of drones launched from their hidden bases, disappearing into space with deadly precision. The Ekrans, unaware of the danger, continued their approach. Their commanders didn't believe Earth had anything that could even scratch their ships. Then, without warning, the first few Ekran ships exploded into bright flashes of light. The sky lit up as the drones, equipped with high-powered weapons and guided by advanced AI, tore through the enemy fleet. The Ekran ships, unprepared for such a sudden, overwhelming assault, tried to retaliate, but the drones were too fast, too nimble. Target locked. Firing. Came the voice of Lieutenant Daniels, one of Cole's most trusted officers. His fingers flew over the controls, and Earth's newly developed stealth missiles fired, homing in on the Ekran warships. Within moments, another explosion rocked the system. A massive Ekran dreadnought, the pride of their fleet, was torn apart. The Ekrans were reeling. They had expected an easy conquest, but now they were caught in a nightmare. The drones continued to swarm, cutting through their ships with relentless efficiency. They could no longer see where the attacks were coming from. They could only feel the sting of their own arrogance turning into confusion and fear. "This is impossible," shouted General Krath, the Ekran fleet commander, his voice tinged with panic. "We're under attack by what? Where are they?" The answer came in the form of more explosions, more ships falling to Earth's unexpected assault. The Ekran fleet tried to regroup, but the damage was done. Their confidence had been shattered, and now they were struggling to understand how a primitive species had managed to outmaneuver them. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were paying the price. Admiral Cole stood at the center of the command room, his eyes glued to the screens. The enemy was faltering, but he knew this was just the beginning. The Ekrans would fight back, but they had no idea what Earth's next move would be. This wasn't just about defense anymore. This was Earth's moment to prove that they would never be anyone's joke again. The Ekran fleet was in chaos. What was supposed to be a routine invasion had turned into a nightmare. Their massive warships, once symbols of dominance, were now nothing more than hulking wrecks floating in space, consumed by the unexpected fury of Earth's defense systems. The drones, fast and precise, had cut through the first wave with ease. But that was only the beginning. Admiral Cole knew the Ekrans would regroup. They weren't a species to back down so easily. As the last of the drones completed their attacks, Admiral Cole gave the order: launch the Resolute. The flagship of Earth's fleet, Resolute was a symbol of human ingenuity and defiance. It wasn't the largest ship in space, nor the most powerful by galactic standards, but it was equipped with Earth's most advanced technologies, many of which were unknown to the rest of the galaxy. The Resolute was part of the plan that Earth had kept secret from the Ekrans, a piece of humanity's response to the mockery they had endured. The ship slowly slid into position, its sleek, angular design a sharp contrast to the over-engineered elegance of Ekran warships. As the Resolute powered up, its weapons systems hummed to life, sending ripples of anticipation through the crew. Commander Harper, standing beside Admiral Cole, nodded sharply. "All systems are green." "Sir." "Good. Let's show them what Earth can do," Cole replied, his voice steady despite the high stakes. He wasn't just leading a fight for Earth's survival. He was leading humanity's first real step into the galactic stage. The Ekran fleet had reformed, their remaining ships trying to reorganize and counter the relentless drone assault. But they were still in disarray, unsure of what had just happened. They had expected Earth to crumble under the weight of their forces, not fight back with such force and precision. Without hesitation, the Resolute charged forward, its weapons firing. First came the railguns, sending heavy rounds straight toward an Ekran cruiser. The cruiser's shields shimmered under the impact, but the human weapons were no ordinary projectiles. They used a combination of cutting-edge alloys and advanced targeting systems designed to bypass standard defenses. The first shot broke through the cruiser's shields, and the second tore through its hull. The battle was far from over, but the Resolute had sent a message. Earth wasn't simply defending itself. It was fighting back, pushing the Ekran fleet to reconsider their assumptions. The Ekran commanders had never imagined that a species so young in the galaxy could mount such an aggressive counterattack. General Krath of the Ekran fleet cursed under his breath. "Prepare the reinforcements. We need backup now." But backup would take time to arrive, and the Resolute was already targeting another ship. This time, a massive Ekran dreadnought that had been the pride of their fleet. The Resolute's AI guided the attack with laser focus, coordinating with Earth's drone network to create an impenetrable assault. The dreadnought's shields flared brightly as the first few shots hit, but it wasn't enough. The second wave of attacks, laser cannons and advanced missiles, brought the ship to its knees. The hull cracked open like an eggshell, and the ship began to break apart. "Direct hit," reported Lieutenant Daniels from the control console. "We've disabled the dreadnought." The crew of the Resolute cheered, but Admiral Cole's eyes remained fixed on the screens. This battle wasn't over yet. The Ekrans were regrouping, and they would be more cautious. But the tide had shifted. The Ekrans were starting to realize that Earth was not the weak, helpless planet they had once thought it to be. "Keep pushing," Cole said, determination burning in his voice. Let's show them who they're really dealing with. The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Earth, a planet once mocked and dismissed by the galactic elite, was now fighting back against the mighty Ekran Dominion. The images of Ekran warships being torn apart by Earth's drones and Resolute flagship had sparked shockwaves of disbelief. Across hundreds of systems, species tuned in to the unfolding battle, unsure of what to believe. The Ekran Dominion, which had long held the reputation of being invincible, was struggling to regain control. How could this be happening? In the Grand Council chambers of the Galactic Senate, representatives from various species gathered in a hurried emergency session. A sense of unease hung in the air. The entire council had underestimated Earth. Now, there were urgent discussions about what to do next. The question on everyone's mind was clear. Could humanity truly defeat the Ekrans? Impossible, muttered Zothar, the leader of the Krithar race, as he paced back and forth in the council chamber. His species was known for their razor-sharp minds and advanced technology. They were one of the few who had actually supported Earth's entry into the Galactic Council, despite the mocking tone of many others. How could they have such advanced technology hidden away? Earth's fleet is nothing compared to the Ekran empires. How are they winning? You underestimate them, replied Lyria, a representative of the peaceful but highly intelligent Lixian race. Her long, flowing tendrils vibrated with agitation as she spoke. The Ekrans may have advanced technology, but Earth has something far more powerful. They have adaptability. They can think on their feet, using the resources they have in creative ways. This isn't a conventional battle. This is humanity showing its true strength. Many of the council members were still in disbelief. Some wanted to write off Earth's success as a fluke. Others, like Zothar, feared that if humanity's capabilities were left unchecked, they could become a serious threat to the balance of power in the galaxy. We must act, Zothar insisted. The Ekrans cannot be allowed to lose. If they fall, the entire galaxy will be in turmoil. We need to intervene before Earth gets too powerful. Lyria shook her head. You do not understand. Humanity has already proven itself. The Ekrans underestimated them. If we intervene, we will only escalate the conflict and make things worse. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Cole's mind was focused on more immediate concerns. The battle was far from over. While the Ekran fleet had taken significant losses, they weren't giving up. Earth's victories had sent a ripple through the galaxy, but it was still uncertain whether their forces could hold out against the overwhelming might of the Ekran Empire. Cole's face remained calm, but inside, his thoughts raced. Project Bulwark had worked beyond expectations, but there was still much to do. The Ekrans had regrouped and were preparing for a more focused, coordinated strike. They wouldn't make the same mistakes again. And now, the rest of the galaxy was watching. Some might even be wondering if Earth's resistance was a sign of something larger, something dangerous. Prepare the next phase, Cole ordered, turning to his officers. We're not done yet. This fight is far from over. The galaxy was watching, unsure of what would happen next. Would Earth continue its defiance, or would the overwhelming power of the Ekrans crush humanity's dream of independence? One thing was certain. Earth's reputation would never be the same again. The galaxy would have to reconsider the value of this pet planet and what it meant to mock Earth's defenses. The tide of the battle had shifted, but Admiral Cole knew the war was far from over. The Ekran fleet had suffered major losses, but they were not a species that would back down easily. Despite the surprises Earth had thrown at them, the Ekrans were regrouping, learning from their mistakes, and preparing a new assault. They had underestimated Earth once, but they wouldn't make the same mistake again. Earth's response was already in motion. Admiral Cole had activated Operation Spearhead, the next phase of their plan. A daring counteroffensive that would take the fight directly to Ekran-controlled territory. The concept was simple but risky. Instead of waiting for the Ekrans to reach Earth again, humanity would strike first. They would infiltrate deep into the heart of the Ekran Dominion, hitting critical supply lines, shipyards, and military bases. The goal was to cripple their ability to respond, forcing the Ekrans to fight on two fronts, one in their own space and one in Earth's. The Resolute, Earth's flagship, was at the center of this new strategy. Under the cover of stealth technology, the Resolute and a small fleet of human warships slipped through the Ekran blockade, making their way toward Ekran-controlled space. Their objective? To strike hard and fast, before the Ekrans could regroup and launch their next attack on Earth. Cole stood at the bridge of the Resolute, watching the stars stretch into lines as the ship's engines hummed quietly. The crew worked in tense silence, aware of the risk they were taking. The plan was risky, but it was the only way to keep the Ekrans from regaining their footing. "Status report," Cole said, his voice calm but filled with purpose. "We're on course for the Ekran shipyard in the Talus sector," Commander Harper responded. "We should arrive in less than an hour. The rest of the fleet is in position, waiting for your command." "Good," Cole replied. "Initiate Phase 1. Let's make sure the Ekrans know we're here." The Resolute and its fleet dropped out of stealth mode and immediately launched a series of precision strikes on the shipyard. The shipyards were key to the Ekran Dominion's ability to build and repair their fleet. The Resolute's railguns fired first, striking the outer defenses of the massive station with deadly accuracy. The station's shields flared up in an attempt to absorb the impact, but the human weapons were too advanced. The first few rounds punched straight through the shields, and then the hull began to crack. Within moments, the rest of the fleet joined the assault. Missiles and drones flooded the shipyard, overwhelming the defenses in a flash. Ekran warships in orbit scrambled to respond, but they were too late. The element of surprise was on Earth's side, and the Ekrans couldn't regroup fast enough to stop the barrage. The human fleet continued its relentless assault, disabling shipyard facilities, causing massive explosions that sent shockwaves through the station. The crew of the Resolute didn't pause for a second. Every shot, every move, was calculated for maximum impact. General Krath of the Ekran Dominion watched in disbelief as his forces scrambled to retaliate. The shipyards were the heart of the Dominion's fleet production. Without them, their military might would be severely crippled. The Ekrans had been caught off guard once again. "We can't let this stand," Krath muttered to his officers. "Launch all available forces. Destroy them." But it was too late. The damage had been done. The Ekran fleet had lost its advantage. Earth had struck deep into their territory, and the Dominion was reeling. Admiral Cole watched the destruction unfold on the monitor, his face grim but satisfied. "Phase 1 complete," he said quietly. "Now we wait for the next move." Humanity had just sent a clear message to the Ekran Dominion. Earth wasn't just defending its home anymore. It was fighting back, hard. And the galaxy was watching. The shockwaves of Earth's sudden attack on the Ekran shipyards rippled across the galaxy. In a matter of hours, the Ekrans had lost a critical part of their fleet-building infrastructure. The Resolute and its strike group had returned to Earth's outer orbit, waiting for the inevitable retaliation. Admiral Cole knew the Ekrans would not simply accept this humiliation. They would retaliate, and they would come with everything they had. Back at the Ekran Fleet Command, General Krath's rage had been building ever since the human assault. His once confident demeanor had shattered. Now, his hands gripped the edge of his console as he watched the reports from his officers flood in. Earth had taken out their shipyards, their key production facilities. Ships that were supposed to defend the Dominion had been destroyed. "We need to act quickly," Krath growled. "Send everything we have to Earth. If we don't crush them now, we'll lose control of this sector for good. This time, we won't hold back." The response was swift. The Ekran fleet, now reassembled and reinforced, was ready for a full-scale counterattack. Ships from every corner of the Dominion, from massive dreadnoughts to fast attack cruisers, were dispatched towards Earth. The Ekrans believed that this was their final chance to destroy humanity's growing defiance. If Earth's military could be crushed now, they could break humanity's spirit and restore their own dominance. As the Ekran forces made their way toward Earth, Admiral Cole was already preparing for their arrival. He knew the Ekrans wouldn't be easy to defeat, even after their humiliating loss. Their fleet was massive, and this time they would come with more firepower, more reinforcements. The key to victory would be to stretch the Ekran forces thin and outmaneuver them in the field. "All hands, prepare for battle," Cole ordered. "We've hit them once, but they'll come back stronger. This time, we make sure they know they can't win this war." On the Resolute, Commander Harper ran through the final checks with her team. "All systems are ready, Admiral," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. "The fleet is ready to deploy. We'll use the asteroid belt to mask our movements. If we stay close to the debris fields, we can catch them off guard again." Cole nodded. "We use the same tactics. Hit them fast, hit them hard, and don't give them a chance to regroup. But this time, we keep a reserve force back. We need to keep Earth's defenses safe in case they get past us." As the Ekran fleet approached, Earth's fleet positioned itself in the asteroid belt, using the debris to their advantage. The asteroids provided cover, but it also made navigation difficult. The humans had to be careful, but they knew the Ekrans wouldn't be able to anticipate their movements. The first wave of the Ekran fleet came into range, and the Resolute fired its first salvo. The Ekran ships, still reeling from Earth's previous assault, quickly returned fire. Explosions rocked space as both sides exchanged heavy blows. The battle raged on, with each side trying to outmaneuver the other in the tight confines of the asteroid belt. "Hold the line," Admiral Cole shouted as the battle intensified. "We can't let them get past us. Keep the pressure on." The Ekran fleet, now fully committed to the battle, pushed forward with everything they had. But Earth wasn't backing down. As the two fleets collided, the galaxy watched, holding its breath. Would Earth's determination be enough to hold off the full force of the Ekran Dominion? The future of humanity, and its place in the galaxy, was on the line. The battle in the asteroid belt raged on, each explosion lighting up the dark void of space. The Ekran fleet, now fully committed to crushing Earth's resistance, pushed forward with ruthless determination. Their ships, larger and more heavily armed, seemed unstoppable, but the humans weren't backing down. They fought with the desperation of a species that had been underestimated for far too long. Admiral Cole stood at the command center of the Resolute, eyes fixed on the screen in front of him. The Ekran ships were massive, but they lacked the flexibility and speed that Earth's fleet had. The asteroid belt was their ally, providing cover and confusion. It made it hard for the Ekrans to coordinate their attacks, and that was where Earth's smaller, faster ships had the upper hand. "We've got them in a crossfire, Admiral," Commander Harper said, her voice tense but focused. "If we keep pushing, we can force them to retreat." Cole nodded, his expression unreadable. He knew they had the advantage for now, but the Ekrans weren't a species to retreat easily. The pressure was mounting. Earth's fleet had already taken hits, and they couldn't keep up this pace forever. The Ekrans were relentless, and soon they would adapt. "Lieutenant Daniels," Cole called, his voice firm, "initiate the second phase of the plan. We need to create a diversion." Daniels, the fleet's tech specialist, immediately got to work. He keyed in the sequence on his console. "Phase 2 ready, Admiral. Diversion in progress." Without warning, a series of small explosions erupted in the outer edges of the asteroid belt. It wasn't a direct attack. It was a distraction. Earth's fleet had launched a series of small, fast drones, equipped with decoy signals and false readings. The drones mimicked the movement of large ships, tricking the Ekrans into thinking they were facing a larger fleet. "Now," Cole shouted. Earth's ships, using the chaos to their advantage, launched a new wave of attacks. The Ekrens, momentarily confused by the decoys, hesitated. That was all the time Earth needed. The Resolute and its fleet moved in quickly, picking off the smaller Ekran ships one by one. The tactic was working. The Ekrans had been thrown off balance. But General Kraft was no fool. He had seen the same tactic used by other species before. As his forces recovered from the surprise, he quickly recalculated. He issued new orders, directing his fleet to concentrate fire on Earth's flagship, the Resolute. "We need to eliminate that ship," Kraft growled. "It's the key to their success. Focus everything on it." The Ekran ships turned their full attention to the Resolute, launching a coordinated barrage of firepower. The Resolute's shields flickered under the intense onslaught. The ship rocked violently as blast after blast hit its hull. Cole could feel the ship shudder beneath his feet, but he refused to show fear. "Status report," he barked. "We're holding, sir," Lieutenant Daniels reported, though his voice trembled slightly. "Shields are at 30%, but we're holding." Cole's mind raced. They couldn't keep this up for long. The Ekrans were closing in, and if they didn't act soon, the Resolute would fall. But then he saw something, a weakness in the Ekran formation, a gap between the larger ships, an opening they hadn't noticed. "Commander Harper, take us through that gap," Cole ordered. Harper didn't hesitate. She gave a sharp nod and steered the Resolute directly toward the opening. The ship's engines roared to life as it dove through the gap, dodging incoming fire. The Ekran fleet, caught off guard, struggled to adjust their fire in time. "Prepare to launch countermeasures," Cole shouted as the Resolute made its way into the heart of the Ekran formation. With the Ekran fleet scattered, Earth's remaining ships pounced. The tables had turned, and for the first time, the Ekrans were on the defensive. The Resolute had found its opening, and now the fight had truly shifted in humanity's favor. Admiral Cole watched as the Ekran forces faltered. The battle was far from over, but humanity had just taken a decisive step. They had proven they could not only defend Earth but strike at the heart of their enemies. And for the first time, the Ekrans knew they weren't facing an easy victory. Humanity was no longer the underdog. The Ekran fleet was faltering, scattered across the asteroid belt, unable to regroup. Earth's forces had done the unthinkable. They had forced the mighty Ekran Dominion to retreat. For the first time in the long history of the galaxy, humanity had made its mark. But Admiral Cole knew that while this victory was significant, the war was not yet over. The Ekrans would regroup, adapt, and return with greater force. It was now a matter of finishing what they had started. The Resolute, still holding strong, glided through the battlefield, its hull scared but intact. The ship had withstood the Ekran assault and was now positioned to strike the final blow. Cole stood at the command center, looking at the vast array of sensors and displays. The Ekrans were retreating, some ships fleeing back to their homeworld, others drifting damaged in space, but their central fleet was still intact. They had to be stopped before they could escape and regroup. "Commander Harper," Cole said, his voice calm but firm, "it's time to end this." Harper nodded and quickly set the course. The plan was simple: strike the heart of the Ekran fleet before they could form a defense. Earth's ships were already in position, ready to launch a final, coordinated assault. The Resolute would lead the charge. This was their chance to prove that Earth wasn't just fighting to survive, it was fighting to win. As the Resolute made its way toward the remaining Ekran warships, the sensors picked up something. A massive Ekran dreadnought was coming toward them, larger and more heavily armed than anything the humans had faced before. The last of their might, the Rexon, was ready to make its stand. "Admiral," Lieutenant Daniels called, "the Rexon is locking onto us. They're preparing to fire." Cole didn't flinch. The Resolute had taken worse hits than this, and they had survived. "Focus fire on their weak points," he ordered. "Target the engines. We stop them here." The Resolute and its fleet moved in. The battle was fierce as both sides exchanged devastating fire. The Rexon fired its massive energy beams, the blasts powerful enough to tear through lesser ships. But Earth's fleet wasn't backing down. Earth's weapons, though smaller in scale, were faster and more precise, finding the vulnerabilities in the Ekran design. The Resolute closed in on the Rexon, evading the beams and returning fire with pinpoint accuracy. The Dreadnought's shields flickered under the relentless assault, and then, with a loud explosion, its engines went dark. The giant warship was no longer able to maneuver. The Ekran commanders scrambled to launch their final counterattack, but they were too late. The Resolute fired one last, devastating shot. It pierced the Rexon's command bridge, sending a massive shockwave through the entire ship. Within moments, the Rexon exploded in a brilliant ball of light, taking a large portion of the Ekran fleet with it. The remaining Ekran ships, without their flagship, hesitated. They were leaderless, broken, and no longer a threat. The remaining Ekran forces began to retreat in disarray, some of them surrendering, others fleeing into the depths of space. The battle was over. Admiral Cole stood silently, watching the last of the Ekran ships disappear into the stars. His crew cheered in relief, but Cole remained focused. They had won, but the war had changed the galaxy forever. Earth was no longer a planet to be mocked. Humanity had proven that it could stand tall among the stars. In the silence that followed the battle, Commander Harper turned to Cole. "Sir, we did it." Cole allowed himself a rare small smile. "Yes, we did. But this is just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy what Earth is capable of, and no one will ever doubt us again." The Resolute sailed onward into the stars, leaving behind a galaxy that would never look at Earth the same way again. The Ekran Dominion had been defeated, and humanity had earned its place in the universe. The future was theirs.